Genesis chapter 11 verses 1 to 9 tells us that after the flood, humanity united under one language and decided to build a tower that would reach the heavens. Come, let us build ourselves a city with a tower that reaches to the heavens, so that we may make a name for ourselves. But their true motivation was pride and self-glorification, rather than worshipping God. The Tower of Babel is often associated with the ziggurats of ancient Mesopotamia, which were massive terraced structures built to honor the gods. Historical records and ancient texts suggest that these towers were not only architectural marvels, but also held significant cultural and religious importance. The story of the Tower of Babel highlights the unity and ambition of early civilizations, as well as the consequences of their hubris. Why did humanity build the tower? The people had several goals driven by cultural, social, and psychological factors. Firstly, they wanted to make a name for themselves, seeking recognition and legacy. Instead of glorifying God, they sought self-importance and control over their future, reflecting a deep-seated desire for autonomy. Secondly, they wanted to avoid being scattered, valuing unity and social cohesion. God commanded humans to spread across the earth, as stated in Genesis chapter 9 verse 1, but they refused, fearing isolation and vulnerability. Lastly, they aimed to reach the heavens, possibly in an attempt to gain divine status or control over spiritual forces, driven by a psychological need for power and transcendence. However, there were significant problems with these ambitions, both socially and spiritually. They were rebelling against God's command to fill the earth, disrupting the intended social order. They desired power and glory for themselves rather than seeking God's will, leading to spiritual corruption. Essentially, they tried to become like gods, repeating the same mistake as Adam and Eve, highlighting the timeless human struggle with pride and ambition. How did God respond? Come, let us go down and confuse their language so they will not understand each other. God stepped in and confused their language, causing them to no longer understand one another. Without clear communication, their plans fell apart and they scattered across the earth. There are some key takeaways here. Pride leads to destruction. When people try to exalt themselves over God, He humbles them. God's plan always prevails. Humanity tried to resist God's command, but in the end they were forced to spread across the earth. Lastly, division comes when people seek their own glory instead of following God. The long-term impact of God's intervention was profound, shaping the course of human history and theology. Some say modern society is trying to rebuild Babel by creating a one-world government or pushing human unity without God. Movements like globalization and the rise of multinational corporations reflect this drive for unity. At Pentecost, as described in Acts chapter 2, God reversed the confusion of Babel by giving people the ability to speak in many languages and share the gospel. The Bible warns that in the end times another Babel will rise, a global system ruled by the Antichrist, as mentioned in Revelation chapter 30. The potential consequences of these modern Babels could be catastrophic, leading to global chaos and division. What do you think? Was the Tower of Babel just an ancient story, or does it have a prophetic warning for today? The lessons from the Tower of Babel remind us of the dangers of pride and the importance of unity. Reflect on how this story applies to your life and our world today. Share your thoughts in the comments and let's engage in a meaningful discussion. Comment, God's plans always win, if you trust Him above human wisdom. Gap-1.08s. In this chapter, we will delve into the architectural and engineering marvels of the Tower of Babel. Imagine a structure so grand that it aimed to reach the heavens. But how was it built? What construction techniques might have been used by ancient engineers to erect such an ambitious project? Gap-0.5s. Some scholars suggest that the Tower of Babel could have been a ziggurat, a massive tiered structure made of mud bricks. These bricks were often sun-dried and then baked for extra durability. This technique was commonly used in ancient Mesopotamia and can be seen in other impressive structures like the ziggurat of Ur. Gap-0.5s. The Tower of Babel wasn't just a physical marvel, it was also rich in symbolism. In various cultures, it represents human ambition and the desire to reach divine heights. In art and literature, the tower has been depicted in numerous ways, from Peter Bruegel's famous painting to modern interpretations in books and films, gap-0.5s. Through these lenses, we see that the Tower of Babel is not just a biblical story, but a cultural touchstone that continues to inspire and caution us. Its architectural ingenuity and symbolic depth make it a fascinating subject for study and reflection. Gap-0.5s. So, as we conclude our exploration, let's appreciate not only the spiritual lessons but also the remarkable human effort that went into creating such a monumental structure. What's your take on the Tower of Babel's construction and its lasting impact on culture and art? Share your insights in the comments below. Gap-1.08s. In this chapter, we will explore different theological perspectives on the Tower of Babel. Each religious tradition offers its own unique interpretation of this ancient story, providing a rich tapestry of insights and lessons. Gap-0.5s. For instance, in Judeo-Christian teachings, the Tower of Babel is often seen as a symbol of human pride and the consequences of trying to overreach divine boundaries. The scattering of languages is viewed as a divine intervention to curb humanity's collective arrogance and remind them of their place in the cosmos. Gap-0.5s. In Islamic tradition, the story is also acknowledged, though it focuses more on the unity and subsequent division of humanity. The lesson here emphasizes the importance of humility and the dangers of collective hubris. Gap-0.5s. Hindu perspectives might not directly reference the Tower of Babel, but can relate to similar themes of divine intervention and the importance of humility in human endeavors. The concept of Maya, or illusion in Hindu philosophy, can be linked to the idea that human achievements, no matter how grand, are ultimately transient and should not lead to arrogance. Gap-0.5s. From a moral and ethical standpoint, the Tower of Babel serves as a cautionary tale. It warns against the perils of unchecked ambition and the importance of recognizing our limitations. It also highlights the value of diversity and the need for cooperation and understanding among different cultures and languages. Gap-0.5s. So, as we reflect on these various interpretations, we see that the Tower of Babel is more than just an ancient story. It is a profound narrative that continues to offer valuable lessons for humanity. What are your thoughts on the theological perspectives of the Tower of Babel? Share your views in the comments below. In this final chapter, we invite you, our viewers, to share your own interpretations and thoughts on the Tower of Babel. What does this ancient story mean to you in today's world? Do you see parallels between the tale of the Tower of Babel and modern society? Gap-0.5s. We encourage you to leave your comments below and engage in a discussion about the story's relevance to our times. How do you perceive the themes of unity, ambition, and divine intervention in the context of contemporary issues? Gap-0.5s. In our next video, we'll highlight some of the most interesting comments and questions from you, our viewers. Your insights and perspectives are invaluable, and we look forward to fostering a rich dialogue on this timeless narrative. Gap-0.5s. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the Tower of Babel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Until next time, keep questioning, keep learning, and keep the conversation going.